Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us on a hot morning. It shows the commitment that so many members have to this cause. We are here to have a very clear message, and that is that we cannot have another war in the Middle East. The members standing here are united around the view that the American people are sick of spending billions of dollars on these endless wars, and they want the focus to be on our country, on building our community, jobs here, child care, health care. The War Powers Resolution that Massey and I introduced is still ripening. We expect that it will ripen by the middle of July, and then we hope that it will get a vote. We expect that it will get a vote. The Speaker should not deprivilege the War Powers Resolution. The reality is that if he deprivileges this War Powers Resolution, it's not just abdicating Congress's role on matters of Iran, it's actually abdicating Congress's role on any future war that a president could undertake, not just in the Trump term, but in terms after that. It would be an unprecedented abrogation of congressional power. So we expect that, like in past Congresses, the War Powers Resolution is considered privileged, and it should get a vote in middle of July. Now, the last point, we have so many speakers that I'm going to limit myself to 1 minute and then hear from our chair emeritus, and everyone else. But the fundamental point here is that we don't know what the strikes accomplished, but we do know a lot of the harm. Obviously, the public reports are the intelligence thinks that this just set back the nuclear ambitions by a few months. We need to understand what actually was even destroyed. And we know that some of the nuclear fuel was taken away from the Fordow site. And it has hardened the resolve in Iran to now race towards a nuclear weapon and sent that message to countries across the world. So you have a strike that is actually leading to more popular support now for the Iranian regime, that is leading Iran to declare victory, that is leading Iran to say they're not considering being in the NPT, that they're considering kicking out the IAEA inspectors. It's cost our country billions of dollars. It's put our troops at risk. It has made us more entrenched in the Middle East. And all of that doing something that the American people did not want. It is my view that the Democratic Party needs to clearly stand up against this war and take the mantle again of being the anti-war party, the party that stands up against wars of choice, against these endless wars in the Middle East. We have many, many co-sponsors, and I'm really honored and appreciate our chair, CPC chair, Greg Casar, who's really jumped on this the minute that there were thoughts of strikes, and has rallied not just the Progressive Caucus, but the broader House Caucus to stand against the President's actions and demand a vote on the War Powers Resolution. Greg?
Thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Greg Casar. I represent the heart of Texas here in Congress. I'm proud to be chair of the Progressive Caucus, and I'd like to kick us off by thanking Congressman Khanna for your really clear leadership in these difficult times. And what Congressman Khanna ended on there, I think, is so important. Donald Trump promised so many of his voters prosperity, and that he would stay out of these sorts of wars of choice. And Donald Trump every single day is betraying his voters. And it's up to Democrats in Congress, with those willing on the other side of the aisle, to reclaim an anti-war posture that the vast majority of the American people support. I'm here to clearly say that Donald Trump cannot drag Americans into another endless foreign war, and that the House should vote this week on Congressman Khanna's War Powers Resolution to stop Trump from recklessly endangering our American troops' lives. Like every other member of my generation, I have far too many classmates and friends who never came back from endless wars in the Middle East. Time after time, politicians throughout my lifetime have promised quick and easy interventions in the Middle East, only to year after year after year after year put more American men and women in harm's way. Enough. No more wars. No more spending billions of dollars for bombs while leaving only pennies for people. One other thing that I did want to mention is that we had a nuclear non-proliferation agreement with Iran. But in Trump's first term, he ripped up that nuclear deal, which was working, which is the only reason we're in this mess in the first place. Then, despite his promises of being a president who'd bring stability, he put a Fox News host in charge of the Pentagon. And then this last week, without the consent of Congress, he illegally struck Iran. So look, Trump's approach has failed, and progressives are helping rally our entire House Democratic caucus to push through a war powers resolution like the one that Congressman Khanna so quickly authored. We had our Progressive Caucus meeting yesterday, and to a person, our members stood together and said, we need to move forward on this war powers resolution because we do not need any new wars of choice in the Middle East. Thank you so much, and I'm passing it along to our Chair Emerita, Pramila Jayapal.
Thank you so much, Chairman Casar, for your leadership on this. Thank you, Representative Khanna, for your long-term leadership on foreign policy. I think there's been a group of us on both sides of the aisle for years who have called out presidents on both sides when they don't come to Congress. This is an ongoing problem, and it is a fundamental undermining of our Article 1 constitutional powers. The sole power, the sole authority for declaring war rests in Congress. And the whole reason that the founders did that is because they recognized how incredibly important it was for the elected representatives of the people in Congress to debate and deliberate on matters of war. And so this is an undermining of constitutional powers, and it has been bipartisan. I hope it continues to be. I'm grateful to Representative Massey for co-sponsoring this bipartisan agreement. The issue here is that you cannot bomb knowledge. We know that Iran has had capacity to develop nuclear weapons, and the JCPOA under President Obama was a real attempt to recognize that and to recognize that the best way to prevent Iran, in fact, any global non-proliferation around the world should be done through inspections, through weapons inspections, and through a global community set of eyes. What has happened now is many presidents have had the opportunity to go bomb nuclear facilities in Iran, but none of them have taken that because they have listened to their military who tell them that that is not the appropriate way to stop the development of nuclear weapons. And so I think it is very important to understand there was no imminent threat to the United States in this case. There was no intelligence presented to Congress. There was no debate, no deliberation. And what I am hearing from my constituents in my district, but across the country, is that people feel betrayed because Donald Trump said he was going to be the president of peace. He said he was going to get us out of wars on day one. And instead, Americans are being dragged into another endless war now between Israel and Iran. It is not our war. And we have other ways to deal with nuclear weapons. That is what we should be pursuing. That is why it is so important that we vote on this war powers resolution, and that the Republicans who have been there in other moments with Democratic presidents saying that Congress needs to be able to debate this, they should come back to us now. They should join us in making sure that we preserve the authority of Congress to declare war. We should be very clear that this has implications. These reckless, unconstitutional strikes that President Trump undertook have implications for us, not just in the short term, but in the long term. And if we should learn anything from Iraq, from Afghanistan, from Vietnam, can we call 911? Somebody call 911.